Alrighty. Good evening, fellas. Thanks for tuning in to a live stream with Sigma Jones. As always, thanks for listening in. Thanks for tuning in. Truly appreciate the love and support. Hope you guys are having a good evening. I know right now there are a few college football games that's on, especially the conference championships going on. I'm actually seeing a little bit of it right now as we speak. But good for you guys to listen in tonight. So originally, I've already done a pre-recording to do my reflection on 2019 and also gave my preview of what's to come down the pipe for 2020. And this was all last week during the Thanksgiving holiday week. Also, too, hope you guys had a pretty good Thanksgiving. I know for Thicket Brothers, we have a lot to be thankful for, numerous stuff, and for more to come. But for those of you who are not in the know, there was some tech issues with BATV, and after talking with Black Avenger himself, sounds like they were able to get it resolved. Apparently, it was just getting a new domain name, DNS. Definitely for those who are tech savvy, usually it just means that the server's no longer providing the domain. So he had to go get a new one. And he actually posted a video on YouTube explaining it all. Definitely, if you're not a Patreon member, he does have a YouTube video explaining such. So definitely go over there and pay attention to that. And by no means does it mean that Black Avenger TV is done. Far from it. The new site will be coming up soon. And definitely I will be continue to use that as my main platform because I'm all for supporting Black male media, and BATV, that's the way to go. And in fact, I'm of the opinion, this is just Sigma Jones, but if BATV no longer existed, there's a good chance that I will be fading out as well. But in any case, I decided I'm gonna go ahead and do this video live on YouTube, and also I have a backup channel on BitChute. I'll be releasing that later on. In fact, it's been a lot that's going on lately. I now have an account on Minds, and so I'll be releasing those details out later as well, so you guys can follow me on Minds, also on BitChute. But in any case, I will definitely only be working with BATV and a little bit of YouTube every now and then. But that's stuff later on that I'll be talking about as we go down the pipe. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the main topic of this live stream. And that is the reflection on 2019. Man, it's been a year. It's been a year both in my personal life as well as for Thicket Brothers and the Black Manosphere. You know, seeing a lot of changes, both micro and macro, seeing both the good and bad that has been going on. Definitely is a lot that's going on. For the naysayers, they may think that there is no growth going on amongst Thicket Brothers, the Black Manosphere. In fact, I was just on King Sigma's panel, and his live stream is still going on. But he was reading an article from the Huffington Post about how the Democrat Party is starting to lose its mind, if it hasn't already. And the reason why they're going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs is because they realize that with Black men now walking away from the Democrats, they have a slim chance of not only winning the presidential election, but also winning the House. And they'll probably also lose the Senate again. And Trump is already prepared to put in one more Republican judge, excuse me, a Republican judge into the Supreme Court. And when all those three of those happen, you could pretty much say the writing is on the wall for the Democrat Party. For a long time, they've been trying to play identity politics and definitely try to bring in some questionable characters, aka the alphabet soup characters. And of course, taking advantage of black folks for many, many years. And now that house of cards is starting to crumble. And they don't like that. But it is what it is. And they put themselves in that particular situation. And I think a lot of that has to give credit to us thinking brothers in the Black Manosphere. Pretty much, as for me, I came into this, back in my early years, around 2012. But for me, I didn't really get really active in the Black Manosphere until recently, last year, when Black Avenger came about, Black Avenger TV, that is. And, I went ahead and created my own site or channel, excuse me, and decided that I wanted to start creating more content. And it just flew from there. And now here I am, a year later, and a lot has changed, both good and bad. And I think I'll start off with, some personal details on me and how 2019 has been an interesting year. So definitely has been some good and bad. The good, though, has been much, much more of importance and definitely outweighed the bad. I've saw some brothers get married, not just any marriage. They got married SYSBN style. They went and found them quality Stargates, and they never looked back. And hearing of their marriages is continuing going strong. In fact, one of them that I know of, they already have something in the oven. So they're looking forward to their first little bundle of joy sometime next year. And it's been a joy seeing those guys being happy. And then even for me, I finally took the trip that I've been planning for so long, since college and even a little bit of high school, if you want to say how long I've been planning for it. But finally took the trip to Japan, finally went overseas and went on to foreign soil. And it has truly been a life-changing event. Like nothing can describe being an American black man on foreign soil and how you discover new things, discover new cultures, discover new people. And all that goes on while you're discovering yourself. That's the beauty, in my opinion, about SYSBN. Once a brother starts to have mastery of himself and he goes to other cultures and improves upon that self-mastery, yeah, you can't go wrong from that. Certainly cannot. And for me, the trip to Japan has been, like I said before, life-changing. Seeing my girl over there, seeing some of my other friends, both male and female, going to many historical sites, trying out different foods. And I talk about it in my Japan video over on BATV. But just to summarize it all, it was definitely a life-changing type of trip. And for me, it was like, why stop there? I'm already making plans Just to give you all a heads up, I'm already making plans to take another trip over there next year. It's actually going to be one of two trips, but for sure, I'm definitely going to spend a little bit more time in Japan because that has become my second home. That's how much it has changed my aspect of life. Even though I was already SYSBM before I went to Japan, but coming back, it has literally elevated me to a whole different level. And yeah, that's just something that I'm always going to be grateful for, something that I'm going to cherish today and in the future. Yeah, certainly can't go wrong. But there's also been some bad that has happened for this year. Um, Definitely, I've lost some family members, unfortunately. And one of my family members, he pretty much drank himself to death. Sad to see that happen, but it was just an event that easily could have been avoidable. But he went down the wrong path, and unfortunately, it cost him his life. And that's the thing. I got an email a while back where my brother, he was just being honest. And I could tell from his sincere message that, he was being honest. And he asked me, Sigma Jones, what's your game in this whole thing? Like, why are you so adamant about SYSBM and eugenics and telling brothers to experience life for themselves and all? Why are you an advocate for it? And definitely it was an honest question. And replying through email certainly would not give the whole gist of why I am that I am. But I figure I could best answer it through a live stream. And so it's pretty much like this. I have three relatives who unfortunately took their own lives. One of which was a relative that I talked about who pretty much drank himself to death. And I won't go into much details about them, but what all three had in common, just from what I observed, both firsthand and through secondary resources, they were all involved with the Daggles. They were all involved with the American Negro FIFEL. And unfortunate for them, they got too caught up with the succubus. They got too caught up in the death trap of these females, and it cost them. And so, excuse me, in fact, my relative that passed away this year, he was married to a Daggle. Or he was married to one of these succubus. But she caused so much havoc in his life and caused a divide between him and his daughter that he just turned to alcohol. And unfortunately, it got too much for him, and he drank too much, and his liver gave way. And what irked me in his situation was how this particular female pretty much has moved on with her life as if nothing happened, as if she had nothing to do with his demise. But yet all the evidence proves that she was the one indirectly led him to an early grave. And so upon seeing that happen with this relative, I said to myself, there is no way that I could just sit back and allow other brothers who may be in a similar situation go down that same path. And especially when it comes down to Thicket Brothers, because it's not talked about much, but Thicket Brothers today, we have no allies, only ourselves. And when you don't have anybody to come and talk to about these situations and kind of help give guidance as far as where to go, what to do, excuse me, as far as, having someone to talk to about these things, it can easily lead to self destruction. And I don't want to see Thicket Brothers fall into a trap where they feel like they have no options, they have nowhere else to go. And so the only thing to do is to deal with the black gynocracy of America and get involved with the females of the black gynocracy who will only lead you to destruction and death. And so I kind of made it my business that moving forward, I want to be able to help out other Thicket Brothers who want to make the change, who want to become better, not for others, but for themselves, and who need some guidance on where to go, what to do, what to look for, what to avoid. And so I definitely want to be able to reach out for those guys and help them in any way I can and give them a sort of idea or plant a seed in their mind that, you know what, you can become greater than what you are now. As long as you make it your habit, make it your mission to improve for yourself, not for others, and to have aspirations and be able to go to other cultures around the world and see how they value you compared to America. I think once you do that, you'll start to realize that, you're definitely in a better position than where you are now. And from that point, you'll be able to have visions of where you want to go in life, where you want to be in life. I was talking with the Black Brain Trust not too long ago, and they were talking about, they have all these positions for desktop support, help desk, service desk, and yet hardly anybody is applying for them because some people have misconceptions about help desk and misconceptions about where they want to do with a type of positions. And so things like that, I want to be able to help brothers in that regard. And I'm going to get into more details about that later on in this live stream. Hey, yo, what's going on, brother? Glad to see you here. But the thing that I really got out of that, seeing my relative passed away and drinking himself to death, I don't want to see other Thicket Brothers go down that same path. And if I can help Thicket Brothers to see other aspects of life, see that they don't have to be a 12 gauge mic, skeeter, all those other types of downgraded positions and whatnot, and that you got options, and that you got other means of becoming better. If you can open your mind to that and start making efforts to that, you'll be in a much better position. I mean, for a lot of Thicket Brothers, we've all been there. We've all kind of been through some dark times, but we realize that, you know what, there's more to life than just this ghetto mindset or ghetto stereotype that they try to paint about Black folks here in America. And unfortunately, the ones who keep living up to those stereotypes is Black folks themselves. So when you're trying to better yourself and trying to be above that, they're the first ones to attack you for it. And I think that's where, seeing that in my own personal life is that if I'm able to come and be a helping hand to those type of brothers and be able to show them that, hey man, I've gone through the same thing you gone through as far as having no sense of direction of where to go, where to do. But if you open your mind just a little bit and take actions with that open mindedness, you'll be in a lot better position to where you are today. And so that's the reason why I make these contents. And when I talk about the previews I'm going to be doing for 2020 and beyond, it's going to help a lot more of those brothers too going on. But that's for me the things that I have witnessed as far as the life of Sigma Jones. And then when it comes down to the Black Manosphere, that's where a lot of changes and a lot of big events have happened. I mean, I've already thinking of one off the top of my head. I won't mention her name, because I don't want YouTube to be flagging this channel and whatnot for unnecessary roughness. But there was a particular YouTuber who, for a long time, was making the accusations about beta male coons. And we all know who I'm talking about. The individual who talk about how Black men, we have been conquered by the white man, and that beta male coons are the terrorists of America. Make it seem like these beta male coons just pop up out of nowhere. And then, lo and behold, we catch wind, courtesy of people in her camp, or their camp, excuse me, that she got pregnant by a beta male coon. And that incident pretty much validated everything brothers here in the Black Manosphere has been saying all along. These females don't pay attention to what they say, watch what they do. And in this particular case, when you have this well-known YouTuber who pretty much their platform is based upon bashing Black men, particularly thinking Black men, and then turn around and find out that she got pregnant by the so-called beta male coons, but that she has been calling out, you now realize that a lot of these females on these particular platforms, they're worthless. And if you're one of the simps and thuggos and beta male coons who pay attention to what they say, you're just a doggone fool. And so that particular event, I believe, highlighted the message that we have been talking about for so long. Cortez Smith, good to see you, bro. And so that, I think, right there helped kickstart the events going on later on. You're right, Cortez, and that's why we find it so comical how that individual built up her whole platform talking about beta male coons and how we have been conquered by the white man, and yet here she is getting pregnant by the same beta male coons that she condemns. Talk about irony. But like I said, I think that particular event helped to snowball the rest of the year, because it seemed like after that happened, there's been so many other events that happen later on down the road. I mean, my goodness, we've had so many cases of bottom shelf Brad that, I mean, my goodness. And that's the thing too. That's another thing too. This year has definitely been a year where we have witnessed the black woman's love for non-black men, particularly Shade Whitey. Now, I don't want to jump the gun too quickly because I'm going to talk more about that later. But I think this year, if there was ever any notion about black women being loyal to black men, that was killed thanks to this year. But definitely, there's also been some infighting amongst those within the so-called black manosphere. Case in point, the debate that was going on since the spring and still continues on so with now, the debate about select males versus non-select males. And that caused a huge infighting amongst prominent content creators. I won't name them off, but for a lot of you guys that are in the know, you pretty much know who we're talking about. And I just found it interesting how we let a group of females who is the least desired, not only here in America, but throughout the rest of the world, thanks in part to technology, thanks in part to social media and the dating apps. But somehow we let these same females dictate to us what is the criteria of a select male and a non-select male, and who gets the goodies or not. but it worked. That's one thing I have to admit, it did work because it caused some infighting amongst the black manosphere. I mean, you got guys that will create content going back and forth about who's select male and who's not. And I've even seen panels where guys will get on and talk about how, I can get witches here and I can get witches there and everything. And to me, it was pointless because it's like, who cares whether you are select to a particular group of females or not? As long as you're able to go out into the world as a man and you're able to build yourself up for yourself, you're going to be a select male in some woman's eyes. And it doesn't have to be some fat chick land whale. That's what gets me, is how they make it seem like, well, if you're not select with the black females, you're not going to be select with other females outside the world. Really? Is that what we're arguing about? These same black females who could care less about who you are as a black man will have these high standards about you, but then will turn around and a white guy comes along, and as long as he's white, they could care less. Cortez Smith, you're right. These clowns are arguing over who select to non-select women. Exactly. A group of females who pretty much are on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes down to female attraction. But yet we're listening to them as far as who is select and non-select. Makes no sense. Not at all. But the infighting, to me, that caused some division and is actually one of the reasons why that there was a regrowth as far as the Black Manosphere 3.0. So you could say this year is when we saw the decline of the Black Manosphere 2.0 and then the rebirth of the Black Manosphere 3.0. And this time, you're able to see a subdivision of different groups within the Black Manosphere. And, some people may view that as a bad thing, but in a way, I kind of see it as good. And the reason why is because of this. By creating a subdivision within the Black manosphere, you have different groups of men who have different aspects of life. And they are going about it in a different way. I mean, just look at the names out there. You have IPMOR, EBM, SYSBM, Passport Gang. Excuse me. Um, there was one other name that I forgot, but you see, there's different other groups. Excuse me. And I think that's good because what I may want in my life, as far as a black man, may be different than what you want in your life as a black man. There's brothers out there who have no interest in having a family, who have no interest in having a wife and kids, and just want to be about their business. They just want to, build themselves up and, experience life through other avenues. And they don't want to be hampered down with, a long-term relationship or kids. And for me, hey, as long as you're going about it the right way and not harming others in the process, I'm all for it. I will defend your right to do that. And then there's other brothers who, like myself, were interested in having a family. It's just that we don't want to do it under the black gynocracy of America. And so that's where SYSBM comes along. And even I would throw in there the Passport Gang, because we're pretty much saying, you know what, we're going to find love and companionship elsewhere. And in the case of SYSBM, we're just going to build our family in a different manner. And again, for brothers like that, I will defend wholeheartedly, because you, as a black man, you should have every right on this God green earth to have your own happiness. For some reason, other groups of people, and obviously we know that reason, they just don't want to see you happy. And because they don't want to see you happy, as the saying goes, misery loves company. So they want to make sure that you get back onto the plantation. And I'm here to tell you, no. You came into this world as one person, you're going to leave this world as one person. Therefore, you should have the opportunity to be happy and do things for yourself. Whether you just want to travel and deal with people from other cultures, whether you just want to um, build up a business and whatnot and build an empire from there, or you're a guy who, hey, you're just content having a wife and kids, people who love you, and you're able to build a family with that. For me, as long as that makes you happy as a brother, I'm all for it, and I will defend your right to be happy. And to me, that's where I kind of see the good with this subdivision within the black manosphere. Because another thing too, you know, for a lot of us brothers, we are interchangeable. What I mean by that is this. For me, yeah, I'm definitely an SYSBM advocate, but I'm also a passport advocate as well. For me, I think brothers throughout the manosphere, whether you take one trip a year or multiple trips, I personally believe that you should take at least one trip outside of America each year, no matter where it could be. It could be to Mexico, it could be to Canada, it could be across the pond, or it could be over in Asia, Africa, India. As long as you're able to travel outside of America at least once a year, it will only help you in the long run, both physically, mentally, psychologically, even financially. The network you'll be able to create when you're dealing with people outside of America is tremendous. You never know when you'll have a great opportunity literally just come into your lap. And so that's why, personally, like, I see myself, yeah, I'm an SYSBM advocate, but I'm also an advocate for passport brothers. I'm also an advocate for brothers who are truly MGTOW. One thing I will say is this. While I'm here in America, I am completely MGTOW. And what I mean by that is when I'm at work or when I go out and about throughout the day, I rarely deal with females, American females at that, outside of work and business. In a way, I kind of see myself like Uncle Dave. Like, if you was to send me into a room and there's, who knows, a very beautiful American woman, no matter what race she is, and then right next to her is a box of cigars, I don't even smoke. But if those were my two choices, I'm taking the sticks. Because American females, they just don't fancy me anymore. Or excuse me, backtrack. I don't fancy them. And they just don't bring me any interest. I just don't feel anything for them anymore. And that is because now that I've taken that trip overseas and I got a chance to experience true femininity on a massive level, I mean, I'm sorry. What brother in their right mind is going to want to come back to a group of females who have literally destroyed themselves out of any feminine trait? I mean, who would do that? Not unless you're still stuck on the plantation, that is. But if you're a free thinking brother, I mean, my goodness, you're going to take the better options overseas. And so that's what happened to me. It's like now I go to work and sure, there's some pretty faces, no matter what race, that be running around the job, but I'm just not interested. I just go to my job, do my job, and then once the clock is done, I'm out. I go home. And then, I talk to my girl and other females across the Pacific, through social media, video chats, and everything. And I just wait until I touch down over in their homeland. To me, that's just how I function now. And a lot of brothers, for that matter, that's how they function. I'll give you a prime example. Yes Jonas, The Rallo Show, Pablo Frescobar. These are the same guys who they rarely deal with females here in America, if at all. And that is because they're no longer limited to just the people here in America. Once you get that taste of foreign soil, you can never erase that taste. And so for me, that's why, like I said, while I'm here in America, I'm completely MGTOW. Just focus on myself, do my own thing. But then when I'm outside of America, I am SYSBM. No problem whatsoever. So to me, the infighting definitely is something that could have been avoided, but at the same time, there's many brothers who just have different aspects of life. And to me, that's a good thing as long as you're doing it legally and you're not harming others in the process. But even then, the failures of Black America just keep coming and coming and coming down the pipe. And to me, the biggest failure that literally, I would say this particular event, and for those of you in the chat room, you probably know exactly what I'm about to talk about. This event that happened is like combining the Pearl Harbor attack, which today marks the 78th anniversary of the December 7, 1941 attack on Pearl Harbor, and the dropping of the atom bomb on Hiroshima. Took both of those events, combine it into one, and that pretty much would describe the situation with the white wigger by the name of Jason Roger Pope, aka DJ Kid. When my homie when my homie King Sigma dropped the story on that, and again, shout out to him, that literally shook Black America. And for a lot of Thinker brothers, I'm not going to say that we were not surprised, but at the same time, it's definitely something that we knew was going on. We just did not have the proof on a grand scale that this was happening. And what I mean by that is we knew for a long time, like I mentioned earlier, that Black women just have this undying love for Shade Whitey. But when this incident with DJ Kid was put on blast, that literally confirmed everything we have known about these particular females and their love for Shade Whitey. I mean, just look at the optics. Here it is, you have a typical bottom shelf Brad. Nothing was special about him. In fact, the mere fact that this guy claimed to be a DJ only to find out that he wasn't even a DJ at all, he was just a club promoter, that in and of itself speaks volume. And we can take out his situation with the little girls and sex trafficking, and how that got him into trouble. We can put that to the side. But the mere fact that this one man, Shade Whitey, was able to sleep with over 1,000 Black women, that in and of itself destroys this argument about select versus non-select. And even before this situation with Jason Pope came out, I made a video back either in the summer or in the spring when this infighting was going on. And I talked about how, look, brothers over here having arguments about who is select and non-select when it comes down to this Black female. But yet you let the right Shade Whitey come into the room, that argument is done. Because for Shade Whitey, as long as he is white, he will always be select in the minds of the Black female. And so it's just like, I'm thinking when I'm hearing these arguments and all, and I'm saying to myself, we're really having arguments about who is select and non-select when bottom shelf Brad could show up to any event. He doesn't even have to have a six-pack. He doesn't need to have a six-figure job. He doesn't need to have a bachelor's degree, doctorate degree, or any type of, vocational skills. as long as he is white, he will always get first dibs when it comes down to the black females. And then lo and behold, Jason Kidd Pope comes along, and not only does it validates that talking point, but pretty much, I mean, you would have to be a doggone buffoon if you truly think that this so-called black American female is going to choose you, a black male, over Shade Whitey. And the sad part about it is, yeah, you still got simps and thuggos and beta male coons who are still coming out and defending these black females, knowing full well that if bottom shelf Brad came into the building, they're knocked to the curve. So it's all for naught. And that's not even the icing on the cake when it comes down to this Jason Roger Pope. What put the icing on the cake is the fact that not only did this man sleep with over 1,000 black women, but this man is also HIV positive. Or in other words, he has AIDS. He has the package. And so now that means you have 1,000 plus black women in his vicinity who has been exposed to his package. And those same females are now going around dealing with other black men. I mean, I'm sorry. That in and of itself is why I preach eugenics. Because now it has become a matter of life and death. You get involved with the wrong female, and it literally is going to kill you slowly. Don't listen to these arguments of, well, they now got medications for HIV and AIDS. Yeah, all it does is just takes care of the symptoms. It doesn't cure you of it. And you're still going to die a slow death from it. So for me, when that incident, when King Sigma busted that wide open, I mean, it shook Black America. And even now, they're still trying to remain hush-hush about it, but we're seeing other symptoms pretty much courtesy of that Jason Roger Pope incident. Because now you're seeing brothers slowly but surely walking away from not only black women, but pretty much American society in some form or fashion. And now you're seeing contents courtesy of the Democrat Party, where they're now putting out videos about so-called dear black men, trying to win the black man back onto the plantation. And then if they're not doing that, then they're going to create articles just like the one done by Huffington Post today, where they then going to try to shame black men back into the plantation. And both tactics are just not working. And the reason being is because Thinking Brothers, we have pretty much just come to the conclusion that when it comes down to bottom shelf Brad, this black female will always choose him over a black man. and the thing is, we're cool with it. We're not going to be in some uproar and try to shame black women from dealing with bottom shelf Brad or any non-black man for that matter. We don't care. We just don't. We knew that these females act the way they act. We know that this is their behavior. And based on my research, my studies, this has been embedded in their genetics. So, in other words, in order to deal with her, you have to deal with her genetics. And black men, it's just better off not dealing with that at all. It's just not. And so when you see in these articles and videos either trying to shame black men back into the plantation or trying to play on your sympathy and make it seem like they suddenly have changed and they're finally taking black men into consideration, all don't fall for that, because once the truth has come out, which it has, they 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 haven't even addressed this issue with Jason Roger Pope. They're still trying to tuck it under the rug as if that was just a one-off event that suddenly got exposed, when we all know that there are plenty of Jason Roger Popes all around America and even outside of America. This was just one incident that, hey, it just came out into the forefront, got exposed, and now everybody knows the truth. So to make it seem like this was just a one-off, you're only helping our cause. And for a lot of thinking brothers, it was just confirmation for us. Hey, keep doing your business, keep working for yourself, keep building for yourself. Find quality stargates elsewhere. Don't get involved in the black gynocracy of America. So for me, like Cortez Smith just said, DJ Pope is the real select man. Yeah, when it comes down to the black females, as long as he is white, he can do no wrong. The mere fact that females as a whole have not condemned this man, females as a whole have not uh, essentially stopped dealing with white guys on a regular basis because of this, that in and of itself should tell you all you need to know. And that's why I'm just like, you know what, brothers? just be about your business. Don't even get involved. Don't deal with females. And see, that's another thing too. So I'm not big on white women, especially American white women, because slowly but surely they're starting to take up the bad attitudes that was known amongst black women. And especially in American white women's cases, they feel like they are God's gift to mankind, that every race of man is chasing after them. And to me, that type of attitude, I'm just not down with that. That's why I'm an advocate. Like, look, if you're going to deal with white women, get you one that's either not westernized, i.e., go over to Europe, or deal with one that's at least not from America. From my personal experience, I've gotten better play and better respect from white women who were not from America, i.e., Canada, UK, Paris, Eastern Europe. Those type of females have done better, in my experience, than American white females. And then even when it comes down to other race of women in America, Asian, Indian, Latinas, I just feel like that if they have become Americanized or westernized, they're no good. They're just not. And especially if they were born on American soil, they're just no good. Now, I mean, for the brothers who are able to deal with those type of females, knock yourself out. But for me personally, I'm just an advocate of, look, This world is too big to be dealing with such a poisonous female from this particular country, i.e., America. If you want a white woman, get you one outside of America. You want an Asian woman, get you one outside of America. You want a Latina outside of America, Indian outside of America. Heck, even a melanated black woman. You're still better off get you one not from America. And then, one thing sometimes I'll be hearing is how brothers talking about, well, the females over in other countries, they are becoming Americanized or westernized too. Not really. Not on a grand scale. I mean, sure, you got some countries that are being influenced by America, and that's playing a toll on their women. But here's one thing they don't take into account. See, America, in the eyes of most countries across the world, they consider us as babies. America as a country is only like 200 and something years old. In the eyes of more established countries, we're just babies. Compared to countries like the UK, which has cultures and histories going back to the BCs, same with China, same with Japan, same with countries in South America. Because they have such an established history and culture, they're not going to be easily influenced by American feminism. They're just not. One thing for certain, and yes, Jonas talks about this, it costs money to change a culture. And a lot of countries just do not have the resources to become fully Americanized or feminized. And then countries that somewhat do have the money, because they have a much established culture and they're not bamboozled by the American feminism, they're not going to be trying to take on feminism and have it become part of their culture. Perfect example, look at Japan. Japan has been around pretty much over 2,000 years. They just recently became Americanized thanks to World War II. So after the war, their system became more of a democracy. Women were given the right to vote. They became more westernized a little bit in their culture. But yet and still, you look at Japan, they don't have issues with feminism like Americans do here. And the reason being is because the Japanese men, and I have to applaud them for this, they have pretty much put their foot down. That you know what? Just because we have become more westernized doesn't mean that we're just going to allow in and everything to overtake our culture. And you know what's even crazier? The women themselves have not taken on feminism because they realize that feminism does nothing for them. Therefore, they have no interest in it. That's why when you go over there, you're rarely going to find a female who is overweight or obese. You're rarely going to find a female over there that's going to be dressing like a slut or a whore because they don't care about feminism. And that's one of the reasons why, too, when American women go over to a place like Japan, they are humbled and shot down pretty much like no tomorrow. And those same women can barely spend a month over there before they're ready to go back home. Because culture plays an important role when it comes down to human dynamics. And when you have an established culture that's been around, for hundreds of years, Actually, not even hundreds of years. They've been around for thousands of years, millenniums, even going back into the BC eras. Feminism and Americanism is not going to change that overnight. And even if they put a dent in those other cultures, it's not going to make much significance. That's why I am an advocate when it comes down to brothers. If you're going to deal with females, you're better off dealing with those not from America. Because those who are not from America are more likely not to be involved in the American poison. But yeah, back on this with Jason Roger Pope. It's just, hey, you know, it is what it is. The black females have proven that they are loyal to bottom shelf Brad, and we're cool with that. That just freed us from the bondage of having to be loyal to a group of women who wasn't loyal to us for millennium. And so for me, that pretty much highlighted 2019. And that I think moving forward is going to be a staple for a lot of thinking brothers moving forward. That you know what? We have no allies. And the only allies we do have are brothers who are just like us. Therefore, it's better that we only converse and deal with brothers just like us. That's why, there was a debate over on King Sigma's live stream where brothers were talking about, dealing with other brothers from other cultures and all, because they have to deal with feminism too, and they're having issues with their women as well. My opinion is this: they need to deal with their own problems. We already, as a thinking black man, we already got issues on our plate that we need to deal with. And the reason I say that is because, especially when it comes down to white guys, they could literally change their issues overnight if they had a backbone. The problem with us thinking brothers, a lot of our issues, especially with our women, is because of the system that white guys here in America have put into place. Because they were so focused on black men, they were trying everything in their power to make sure that black men in particular have little to no access, yet not realizing that by giving other folks access, including their women, it was later going to turn around and bite them in the butt later on. And so now that that has happened, and they're now crying wolf and crying out crocodile tears about, oh, man, we need to get together and fight this system. It's like, nah, my problems ain't your problems, and your problems ain't my problems. So you focus on yours, we'll focus on ours, and hey, best of luck to you. And so for me, that's where I feel like the highlight going into 2020 is brothers need to focus on themselves, focus on improving for themselves and not for anybody else, and just be about their business. Whatever you want to do in life, as long as it makes you happy, go and do it, because you only come into this world with one life. Which then leads me to the next topic. So, 2020, we're pretty much a few weeks away from going into the new year and the new decade. So, as for Sigma Jones, here's some changes that are going to be coming forth. So, like I stated earlier in the live stream, Black Avenger TV should be back up and running. So, I will definitely make that channel over there as my main channel. But there will be some changes that I'm going to be doing here on my YouTube channel, as well as on my Minds account and even my backup BitChute account, which I will definitely be using that just in case um, there's some craziness going on here on YouTube and I can't really keep things in line for that. But one thing I'm going to do is this. So moving forward, this particular channel, I'm going to make it a little bit more diverse. What do I mean by that? So I want to make this channel a little bit more focused on SYSBM and Thinking Brothers. So I'm going to be doing more content that is related to Thinking Brothers. Contents like traveling and passport. In fact, I plan on doing some live streams with Rollo so we can talk more about passport and traveling. I'm also going to be doing some series with Kitakakure Jones where we talk about life in Japan and what things that brothers could do to prep going to Japan, even some history and background in that regard. I'm also going to do some videos on tech, especially help desk and system admin and networking. So kind of branching off a bit from the Black Brain Trust, after talking with them today, I want to do a few contents related to brothers being involved in the tech industry. So that way those guys, any brothers out there that want to get involved into IT, I want to be able to put some information out there for them so they could be aware of. And then also I'm going to be doing some World War II podcasting. And my brother, Paul Bryant, if he listening in or not, he was the one that actually inspired me to do some podcasts on World War II type of thing. So I want to do stuff like that. And if he's able to join in on the fun, I definitely will get him more involved too. And then last but not least, and this kind of goes a little bit back to traveling, but I was thinking to myself, okay, I got 2 international trips coming up next year. One of which you guys already know, and that is with Japan. But I was thinking, I said to myself, you know what? Rather than doing videos talking about those particular trips, I want to take you guys with me. So what I'm going to do on these 2 particular trips, I'm going to be doing some live streaming. So that way you guys get to experience firsthand what Sigma Jones is experiencing overseas. So that way a lot of Thinking Brothers could able to witness what I'm witnessing. And hopefully that will motivate and spark you guys to be like, hey, you know what? I want to go there myself. I want to visit those places myself. And so I'm definitely going to do those type of live streams, and I'll definitely give you guys some heads up when I do travel. So that way you can come with your own Q&As, questions, and even some tips that definitely I will be using on the trips and whatnot. But I said to myself, it's time for Thinking Brothers to see different cultures and different aspects across the world. So that way you guys could be motivated yourself to go to those type of places too. Now, with all of that being said, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be talking about the dysfunctions of Black America. And that's where my main channel on BATV comes into play. So what's going to end up happening is this. All of those hard-hitting contents, and especially any live streams that I do in regards of talking about the dysfunctions of Black America, those ones you will only find on Black Avenger TV. And even if I do a live stream on it, those will immediately be closed down and then re-uploaded on Black Avenger TV. And definitely those are probably going to be those contents that I may do on a regular basis, especially if there's something that pertains to Thicket Brothers to be on the lookout, to avoid, and to kind of even give some lessons courtesy of, Uncle Dave, talking more of the things that he's seeing and kind of giving some graduate level talks, which, by the way, Uncle Dave Rabbit Hole Production, his is on the level of a doctorate level. So he does the doctorate stuff, and I'll just mainly do all the graduate stuff as far as things that goes on in Black America and how it pertains to Thicket Brothers. But those contents you're only going to find on Black Avenger TV, and a few of them I'll even put them on BitChute later on. And don't worry, you guys will also have access to BitChute as well once I get that set up. But as far as here on YouTube, that's what the major change is going to be. This channel is mainly going to focus on traveling, history, tech, and even some one-on-ones with other content creators so we could talk about things that other brothers could go out and experience for themselves, especially things that pertains to SYSBM and Passport. Because to me, especially with Passport, that's going to be the game changer for a lot of Thicket Brothers moving forward. And especially going into 2020, that's going to be something that is definitely going to be some fun times. So I'm going to do something a little bit different tonight. See if I get this on. Okay, so I posted the link to the live stream. If there's brothers out there who want to join in and chat for a little bit, still got another maybe 30 minutes or so before I jump off. Definitely free to come in and chat. Definitely, if you want to give your reflections on 2019 and what you have plans going into the new year and the new decade, feel free to jump on in and we can chat about it, talk about it too. Definitely, this is something that I think for a lot of brothers, just having that voice to talk about things and give some thoughts and opinions on that matter, I think is something that for a lot of Thicket Brothers need to chat about it, talk about it, get it off your chest. But in any case, those are definitely my plans going into 2020 and beyond. And in fact, some of the videos that are on my channel right now, I'll probably go ahead and take those down if it's related to un-PC kind of talks. This particular video I'll leave up because I believe it's safe. It's not really attacking anybody or causing any harm, even though if you know people of Black America, just talking about Black America in a negative way will get you in trouble, but I don't care. But yeah, there's some things that I have experienced this year and all that I truly think that going into next year, we're going to be a lot more focused, a lot more ambitious, a lot more goal oriented. And I definitely want to see more brothers happy. I definitely want to see more brothers go out and do things for themselves, experience new things for themselves, and become their own man, become their own person. And for the failures of Black America, as far as I'm concerned, they can kick rocks and everything because the community has died a long time ago. It's been a rotting corpse for many, many years, many decades. Only just now are people starting to really see the aftermath of that destruction. But and that's the thing too. Not to get off topic, but I happen to be listening in on Mr. Fantastic on last week, or it may have been the week before. But in any case, he was doing a subject, and one of his detractors, he invited them on the show. And I'll never forget, I'm listening in to this particular individual, and he had the audacity to say, anything that deals with numbers, I don't pay attention to because numbers can easily be manipulated. And he's somewhat half right. Yes, numbers can somewhat be manipulated. And when he made this statement, he was talking about, statistics and evidence, is put out there about black folks and whatnot. So I thought to myself, if I was on that panel that day, and really I couldn't because I was working, but I said to myself, if I was on that panel, here's what I would suggest to that particular brother. What you could do is this. You can look up these particular peer research studies that you claim in talks bad about black folks, and you can do your own experiment. And by doing your own experiment, you can change the variables and see if you come up with different results. And if you come up with different results and you have the numbers to back up those different results, then people would actually take you more seriously because now you have evidence to counter what the mainstream evidence is talking about. That would be the more logic thing to do. But knowing black folks, doing your own research requires not being lazy. And unfortunately, there's a reason why black folks are considered lazy collectively. So when I hear stories of that or incidents like that, I have to chuckle because I said to myself, okay, you guys don't like the stats or empirical evidence that white folks put out about you. But yet, when it comes down to putting out your own empirical evidence and your own stats, you don't want to do it. So I just find that particularly interesting and particularly of different criterias and whatnot. Okay, let's see. It is 6 minutes till 7:30. Well, 7:30 Mountain Standard Time. Right now it's almost 9:30 on the East Coast, almost 8:30 in Central Time, and almost 6:30 on the West Coast. But yeah, fellas, that pretty much is my resolution going into 2020 as well as my reflection of the year. It's been both good and bad, both personal and within the Black Manosphere. And for Thicket Brothers, I think things are just going to get better going forward. May not get better for black folks overall, but for Thicket Brothers, it's going to get better. As long as you have an open mindset and you're willing to get outside your comfort zone, things are going to get better. So, with that being said, fellas, in the words of Nagone, get your mind right, get your money right, get your body right. Because when it's all said and done, the only person you can save is yourself. With that said, I'm Sigma Jones. You guys have a good night and good good New Year's. I'll see you guys. My next live stream probably won't be until the year 2020, but it's definitely going to be some new content. It's definitely going to focus more on Thicket Brothers expanding their options and expanding their horizon. And believe me, the dysfunctions of Black America, I definitely will not let that die down. But in any case, be about your business. So with that said, I'm Sigma Jones. You guys have a good night.